Hello everybody, welcome to the Red Devil Experience. My name is Eric. Hope everybody's doing well. We got the latest and newest Manchester United news. Big talk today. We're going to be talking about the Glazers scam, INEOS scam, with the announcement, of course, of the Manchester United launches the Old Trafford Regeneration Corporation, which is the Old Trafford Regeneration Mayoral Development Corporation, chaired by Olympic champion Lord Coe, officially launched today at the Imperial War Museum North. It will drive a multi-billion pound overhaul of the 370-acre site, including a new 100,000-seat capacity stadium, over 15,000 homes, and 90,000 jobs that could add £7 billion yearly to the UK economy. Manchester United's Colette Rocher shared the club's vision for the world's best football stadium and matchday experience, building on Foster Plus partners' designs backed by owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe. While fans share excitement over stunning renders, some critics worry it extends the Glazer family's influence without fixing on-pitch issues, which is what I am going to get into, because as we've been here saying, I think just like they do with the transfers, just like how they let the club fall apart all over the place, just like how they don't do the proper job to create an environment for the manager to actually succeed. They don't create an environment for Manchester United to ultimately return to its glory and actually win Premier Leagues and win Champions Leagues. I think that the stadium is another version of a shiny toy, okay? And buzzwords and, not really in-depth talking of how this process is going to go about. Where is the money going to come from? Who's standing to make all this money? I mean, obviously the Glazers and INEOS will stand to make a shit ton of money from this, but there's a larger layer of depth here that they quite clearly are obviously going to ignore, and they're going to talk about, the shiny new toy things, the stadium. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be grand. It's going to be the best in the world. It's going to be something everybody envies. But obviously, with everything in life, there's pros and cons. There's positives and negatives. But we know from the club being a absolute PR machine, that they are going to ignore any of the negatives. And they're going to, highlight only the positives. So I think we need to talk about this. Definitely. We're also going to talk about, the match that's at hand coming up versus Arsenal. Michael Carrick's plan for Arteta, hoping that he sends him packing home crying like he did to Pep. So we'll talk about that match, and we'll talk about any sort of loose news. And then it is Friday. So nonetheless, I hope everybody is doing well. I hope everybody's feeling good. It's Friday, Freestyle Friday, towards the end of the show. We'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to everybody that is here. Lucky is here. Renoso is here. Shout out to everybody that's watching as well. Hope everybody is doing well. Lucky, he might spam a lot of stuff, yeah? But you can't hate on the guy. As soon as I put the video up, he's here an hour before. He's here 30 minutes before. He's giving his thoughts. He's giving his opinions. I love the dedication. I love it. So Lucky's always here. Renoso is here as well. Sorry to keep you guys waiting. I had a couple things that I needed to, tie up. Lyle has just joined us as well. What's up, Lyle? How you doing, buddy? Hope everything is good. Lucky says, Eric, when new stadium going to get built? Let's talk about on that side. Well, I'll get into the nitty-gritty sort of details. There has been a couple details, and then I'm going to hit them on my points. So, obviously, with the announcement of this, I'm just looking to see if we get any sort of major sort of details from these guys. Lord Coe has said today is a defining moment, the beginning of a long-term commitment to transforming the Old Trafford area. We are now open for business, and there's a lot to do. Over the next few months, we will share our outline master plan, and then we will begin to make this vision reality. I want you guys to remember this line by Lord Coe, okay? I don't know much about Lord Coe. I need to do a little bit of you know, background check on Lord Coe. I need to do a little bit of an investigation into Lord Coe because I don't really know anything about him. So that I got to save that for another time. But I want you guys to remember as I'm going to make my points, and I have a full detailed outlined, backed with facts, backed with I did a full report on this. I double checked it, triple checked it to try and be as accurate as possible. I just want you to remember this line that he said, because I just read this and I didn't know he said this, and it's funny because it goes hand in hand with what I had to say. So he said, over the next few months, we will share our outline master plan and we will begin to make this vision a reality. Remember that. Remember that. Sebastian MUFC says, evening, mate. Good evening, brother, mate. How you doing, buddy? How you doing? But let me just see if they put out any sort of details, anything credible, anything with a little bit of, there. Doesn't seem so because apparently we got to wait for the outline of the master plan. But I'm just looking to see if they said anything of any sort of significance. It seems like they've said, again, 370-acre Old Trafford area, supporting the delivery of more than 15,000 new homes. We've heard all of this. 90,000 jobs, improved public spaces, significant infrastructure benefits for supporters, residents, and visitors. Listen, it sounds great on paper. But you know what? When Manchester United announced this earlier today, okay, I put out a tweet in response directly to the Manchester United account. I don't have a big platform on Twitter. Okay, I got about 3,000. I think 3,000. No, I got 1,000. I don't even have 3,000 we have for the channel. By the way, make sure you're smashing the like button. Please support us. It is massive to the channel, so get that done. I think I said obliterate the like button. Obliterate that like button. Subscribe if you enjoyed the content. We're trying to get to 3,500 subscribers. Let's get to 3,300, though. That would be good. But Manchester United announced this on their official account, and I responded back to them, and I didn't really think that, I thought a lot of people would gloss over it, or it might get ignored. But my response into them announcing this on their Twitter page, when they said, we welcome the official launch of the Old Trafford Regeneration Mayoral Development Corporation. And I responded back to them by saying this regeneration is all about greed and money for the vultures' pockets, not for the benefit of the club or the people, but for the benefit of them to make more money and ultimately get their 10 billion valuation. And that tweet got a lot more attraction than I thought it was going to. I didn't think that people were actually going to resonate with that. And they have. And so I said, you know what? Let's make a whole show about it. So let me get to the chat before I go into this, because it's gonna be a bit of a long one, yeah? So let's see. Elias says, oh, good on the mood front. Hope you're good. I'm good, man. I'm fantastic. I'm ready to go. I love the Friday shows. Friday shows are always good energy. Everybody's always in a good place. Lauren says, this channel knows I live in Altrincham, and I'm sorry if I pronounced these words wrong. I don't mean any disrespect. And now your man at Red Devil United knows Lucky Singh lives in Birmingham, Bunsworth Hall. That's right. And if everybody wants to just shout out where they're from, where they're watching from. I'm all for that. I keep forgetting to do that. I want people to constantly shout out where they're watching from. You know what I mean? Axe is here as well. What's up, Axe? Lauren says, I'm not shocked or even disappointed about the window. Roast me. Nah. We're all in the same boat, man. Sebastian says, obliterated, mate. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Bonsoir, everyone. I am from... I'm going to pronounce this wrong. I'm sorry. Meritius. That's definitely not how you pronounce it, but I try my best, bro. I try my best. I apologize. Okay? Don't give me words in other languages. Please don't try and embarrass me, okay? It's going to be embarrassing, all right? So, listen. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty, yeah? And then we have some other stuff to talk about, but... I have a full outline on this. Bear with me. I'm going to try and hit the comments and get my points across on this whole thing and why fans need to be a little bit worry, a little bit weary, not worry, weary, okay? And we can't be distracted by the shiny toy things. And unfortunately, this is part of the Glazernomics, INEOS, Glazer master plan, okay? They are masters at deception. They are masters at pinning us in between a rock and a hard place, because obviously, as genuine football fans, remove the Glazers out of it for a second. As genuine people that love Manchester United, we obviously want the best stadium. We want the greatest stadium. We want it, we deserve, for a club of our stature, of our history, of what our club means, we all feel like we should have the best stadium. We should have state of the art. We should not have holes leaking in the roof. It shouldn't be fucking, splash and fun or whatever. It shouldn't be splish splash at Manchester United. There shouldn't be Niagara Falls. There shouldn't be, rats. The food shouldn't be bad. The seats should be premium. Okay? All that stuff. All of that stuff. We should have that, because of what our club is supposed to be. The problem is that we have disgusting, greedy bastards that run this football club, and they don't align with us, okay? And it's very hard to get on board with this sort of thing when the people that are spearheading this are not aligned with the fans. And we can't trust these people, and we can't get carried away with this new thing, because ultimately they're doing it for money. They're not doing it for the benefit of us, or, not even specifically me. I'm not a match-going fan, but they're not doing it specifically for the benefit of the club. They're not doing it specifically for the benefit of the people of that surrounding area. Those are sort of side effects. Those are sort of things that they can champion publicly to win public support. It's PR spin. Let's put it at that, okay? Let's put it at that. Renoso says Riverside, California. Sebastian has tried to correct me. Mauritius. Okay. Mauritius. I'll try to remember that. Hasib 6R says, I know the problem with Glazers, but I still want us to get the stadium. Every club is doing it, Barca, Madrid, and San Siro. And I understand you, brother. I understand you 100%, and I feel a bit of the same way. I am a bit torn, but it's important that us fans don't get distracted just by the shiny toy. Listen, if the fan base makes this decision, as they are okay with it, they are on board, and they are aware of both sides of the argument, that's fine. The problem that I have is, obviously, the club is not giving us both sides of the argument. The club is giving one side of the argument, their perception, and there is no outline of how things can potentially be very bad for all people involved. And specifically, listen, I'm not a match-going fan. I don't live in the area. It won't necessarily directly affect me. But at the end of the day, we're all Manchester United fans, and I don't want any specific part of Manchester United fans to be getting fucked over, okay? At the end of the day, whether they like me or not, whether they rate me as a real fan or not, I don't play that game. We are all brothers and sisters at the end of the day. We all support one football club, and I don't like... I don't like people of our fan base getting fucked over, or potentially, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that sort of stuff. So, Renoso says, now that the government is on board with the project, I'm afraid it's a done deal. Bye-bye historic ground. Hello circus. Well, that is a bit of a thing. I still think that listen, if people wanted to make a movement about it, and they wanted to stop it, I think there is still some time because of what Lord Coe said. But there's also an aspect, maybe they have this outlined already. And it is getting to that territory, Renault. So that's why what you're saying is really good, because we're going to talk about that in a second. Sebastian says, think that besides the stadium and all that glossy stuff, we want the culture and good football back. So many clubs have great stadiums, but bad football and management, mate. Well, I have a larger point, so I'm going to get into it. Hasib says, shouldn't have let it get to this point. Renovation won't work. No one calls out the Glazers for this. Where's Rio and Gary Neville? Well, I agree, but also at the same time, I'm a bit cynical I am a bit cynical, and I think, listen, when it comes to the Glazers, I think it's appropriate for anybody to be quite cynical about what they're trying to do. I think it's fine to be totally sort of conspiratorial when it comes to them, because they are just evil people. They are just bad people. They are bad for our football club. And, as long as you're not saying, they're aliens from space trying to take over the world and dominate, we have to speculate. They don't tell us anything. They don't like us. We can't get the full picture. So we do have to speculate a little bit. But let me get into the main part of what I'm actually trying to say. And what I mean when I say it's a scam, they're not breaking the law. Okay, they're not doing anything that's like, illegal, so to say. It might be morally wrong. It might screw over, the working class people and stuff. But technically on the legality type of thing, they're not doing anything wrong. And these projects and these projects, these types of regenerations, they are very common in today's world. And, it depends on the area. It depends who's running it. It depends who's investing in it. Some of them are, very just greediness. Some of them they do benefit both sides. People make money from it, and people of the area and whatever it consists of do get some sort of good benefits out of it. Okay, so it's not always bad, it's not always good. But what I'm saying is, it's a setup where, especially because of the Glazers, okay, it's a setup where it leans more towards the rich and the powerful get the rewards, and regular people get the bills. And that's sort of the scam. It's not a crime. It's a deal that sounds like it's for everyone, but it mainly makes certain people richer, which is ultimately the Glazers / INEOS. If this is really for the people, then, I don't know, are the people going to potentially end up paying for this? There's certain aspects to this that we need to, sort of think about. Okay. And the big point is this isn't just a new stadium. There's a plan to make a whole area worth way more money. And the people who control the deals around it can make a fortune. The stadium is the shiny thing they show you, and the real money is everything around it, which is the surrounding area. So, the land becomes a gold mine. Okay, when they announce this regeneration project, okay, that land technically, that land was a land that nobody really wanted to touch. Was a land that business people and investors see an opportunity to make money there, but it is a bit risky. Now, like Reynoso said, the government gets involved. It gives investors, it gives business people, just more confidence. So more people are going to flock to it. But when you announce a massive new stadium, when you announce thousands or hundreds of thousands of new homes, shops, businesses, transport upgrades, regeneration, the whole area suddenly becomes hot, which is what's happening. Why does this matter? Because land and property prices can shoot up. And you have to remember, Manchester United own 2 pieces of property in that area, which means the Glazers own 2 pieces of property in that area, which they've held on to, and we didn't know about since they bought this football club. We just found out about this about maybe last year. So land and property prices shoot up, investors get interested, developers start lining up. And the people who control the land deals, building deals, and partnerships can make insane money. They're not just building a stadium, they're turning the whole area into a money printer, essentially. And this is why I say they've pinned us in a very bad spot, because they have let the stadium decay. They have not invested in Old Trafford. They have let it rot. And I being cynical, and I think these people are super evil, super greedy people, I almost start to get the feeling now, once I start going down a little bit of this rabbit hole, that this might have just always been on purpose. Again, it's a win-win for them. They didn't have to invest money. They get to pull more money out. And eventually, they know that something needs to be done. They know eventually that you're either going to have to build a new stadium somehow, one way or another. Well, what's more perfect? That you don't touch Old Trafford, you let it rot, you let it get to the point, like Hasib said, you let it get to the point where it's absolutely, doesn't make sense to sort of upkeep Old Trafford anymore because it's beyond past. To me, I feel like it was very intentional. It was very intentional. It's very intentional that they let this happen. Okay, they let this happen. They let it happen, and I think it's Glazonomics. I think it's Glazonomics, and I've seen what they did. Listen, as an American, okay, I know a little bit about maybe the NFL than some of our other members and community members and people that watch, football from Europe. And I know what they did with the Buccaneers when their father took it over. I know what they did to get a brand new stadium built for them with no money that they paid for, and that they forced, the city, the state to build it for them. And it feels very similar to what they're doing to Old Trafford. It's a little bit different, but it feels very similar. It's kind of the same, but with a different paint job on it. Lucky says stadium completely destroy Old Trafford. Water going through the seats. Food terrible. Axis is watching from Jupiter. Lawrence says stadium project may make us the Spurs of north of England, but I still support it as a Mank. What's legal is not always moral. Well, there you go. And what's moral is not always legal, and that's very true. Sebastian, get used to it, brother. Axe lives and he's from Jupiter. So Sebastian says, so even if they sell the club, they can still make big money from the land. Damn. Well, that part we're going to have to see, because it depends how they're going to use this land. I mean, if they use it as part of Old Trafford, the new Old Trafford, well then, it'd be part of the club. So the club value will go up even more. So if they keep it separate, if it's sort of separate for a certain extent, well, listen, hold on, I got to rephrase that. Technically, it's under Manchester United's name, okay? If they make it, I would have to look at it, but if it becomes part of Old Trafford, like I'm talking about, like maybe the stadium sits on it, it's near it, or maybe there's some sort of things. That property, that property right now is sort of useless in terms of for the club. It's a piece of property, or it's two pieces of property. There's nothing really there. Or if there is something there, it doesn't really make the club any money, right? So what they could do right now is sell the land, and they could use that money to put it into the football club to buy players, to maybe, renovate Old Trafford, the current one, a little bit more. But since they're moving the whole thing maybe into that area, and that whole area is getting regenerated, well, they're now going to create something there where that land is going to be able to make them more money, which will make the club more money. But because they're greedy bastards, they're going to take the money. Sanchi has sent us a super chat. Thank you, my friend. Says, I am in complete agreement with you on all fronts, but what can we do? Do we really think a protest with no backing is going to help? Well, I agree, and I know it feels a little bit powerless, but for me, it has to be, or it has to start at the very least, the people in Manchester, the people in the surrounding area. They would need to come together. They need to put, I think somebody mentioned it, and I wasn't the one, and it wasn't on this channel, but I think maybe it was Goldbridge or somebody else, in that space, and they said, listen, you got to go put pressure on the mayor of Manchester. You need to go after this committee that they just created. You have to go put public pressure on those people. Now, maybe nothing happens and maybe nothing changes, but you might as well fight. You might as well fight. You might as well die fighting. Instead of just laying down and saying, well, it's all for nothing. Nothing's going to happen. We're powerless. I mean, you might as well at least try. But the people of that area have to agree with this. And I have my opinion, and maybe they have a different opinion from me. Maybe they don't feel that way. Maybe they feel like it's good for them or their families. I think there's some things I would be quite a bit afraid of, and I'm going to get into that. But Axe says they did it on purpose ever since day one. Well, listen, that's why I say they're not stupid people. They're not stupid people. And that's the mistake I think we've made as United fans, that we say they're dumb. They're not dumb. They're not dumb. I think everything they do is calculated. I think everything they do, they know what they're doing. Even if it's sort of stupid football signings, shit signings, there's always another angle. There's always another, there's always something else that they're looking at that we're not seeing at the time. And then we kind of figure out later on. But they're not stupid people, okay? They're not. You don't amass that sort of empire they have. You don't have that money, and you don't continue to make money if you're that dumb. Okay? So they're not stupid people. They're very smart people. Unfortunately, as much as I don't want to give them a compliment, that's just how I'm fair. Okay? Like running a beat up car to the end of its life. They have to find $1 billion for the land they want for the new stadium. That's the current situation, and they will get that. They will get that because, as I just was outlining, and there's more, okay? There's more. But as I was outlining, when you announce a massive new stadium, thousands of new homes, you just made, that place is a gold mine. That place is lit up. You've basically just put a giant sign on that entire area, and said open for business to every investor, every business person, anybody that's got money, that's looking to make money. Okay? You just put an open season sign up for the entire planet. Forget the surrounding area, the planet. Anybody that's got money can pull up to them and say, I want to be a part of this. I want to invest in this. What are you looking for? You're looking for $1 billion? I'm willing to give you $100 million. I'm willing to give you 500 million. I'm willing to give you $1 million, 2 million, whatever it is. And they're going to get all sorts of people giving them money, looking to invest so that they can make, 10%, 15%, 20%, 25% return. Okay, so now the problem is we got greedy people at the top that already own our football club and have destroyed it. And now we're going to probably get a bunch of different people that we have no clue who they are. We don't know what their real agenda is. Most likely they don't really give a shit about football. They don't care about the sport. They don't care about our history. They don't care about our fans. They don't care about the people in the area. They're just looking to make money. And that's very dangerous because it's a problem with the Glazers and it's a problem with INEOS now, but we're about to get a bunch of minions of them involved. So it's like they're having kids now. They're multiplying. And they have little minions running around. So isn't that normal in US, seeing Chicago doing the same thing, Bills same as well, forcing the states or they move? Well, it is sort of normal, but there's positives to it, but there is negatives to it. And places like Chicago, it's to me, it's very immoral because usually what happens is, Hasib, you could have taken care of the place in the first place. You could have done things better. You purposely didn't do it. You purposely let it turn to shit. You purposely let it go bad. It's not like some sort of travesty or some sort of devastation or just like they purposely let these things go bad so that they can then fuck over the remaining people and make money. And it's just pure evil. It's pure greed because you didn't take care of the people that were there. You let it turn to sort of a shithole, and then you come in to promise to fix all the problems. But eventually what happens is those people that live in those areas that it might have been decently okay at one point, and you let it rot and you let it turn to shit, and it turned really bad. There's people that have been there for a long time. Might be, they grew up there. Their parents might have grown up there. Their great-grandparents might have grown up there. And what happens is those people will get kicked out eventually, and they won't be there anymore. And what happens is people from all over different places. So if you want to talk about culture, well, there's a potential that this area turns into, it's sort of like a tourist destination. So people that care about culture, people that care about history, people that care about tradition, you might lose that. But you have to understand that. I mean, positives is maybe it'll be cleaner, maybe it'll be safer. If it's not so safe, maybe it'll look nicer. Maybe some people will thrive. It'll be better for some businesses, some people. But it's life. There's wins and losses. The problem that I have with it is that it's spearheaded by the Glazers. And it's spearheaded now by INEOS. And these people don't have good intentions for anybody besides themselves. That's the ultimate problem. Is it just going to be the stadium, or other teams also have other projects like hotels, training, medical? No, it's going to be, the whole area. It's going to be markets, shops, businesses, transport upgrades, new homes. But there's things that go into that. So let me continue, and then I'll come back to the chat. I promise. Okay. So where did I leave off? I said when the land becomes a gold mine. When you announce a massive new stadium, thousands of new homes, shops, businesses, transport upgrades, regeneration, the whole area becomes hot. It becomes open for business, ready to go. Why that matters? Land and property prices shoot up. Investors get interested. Developers start lining up. They're not just building a stadium. They're turning the whole area into a money printer. And that's essentially what it is at the end of the day. Okay, and maybe there's some people involved in this that have good intentions. I'm not familiar with the mayor of Manchester. I don't know his politics. I don't know what kind of guy he is. All right, and some other people. But I do know that the Glazers are bad people. And I do know that I don't trust INEOS anymore. And I don't trust Sir Jim. I don't trust him anymore. So the stadium is designed to squeeze more money from fans. And if we had people that actually cared about the football club, if we had people that actually cared about the history of Manchester United and actually cared about the people that are involved, the fans of Manchester, I would say, you know what, it would be fairly balanced. But we don't have these people. So a modern stadium isn't built to keep prices normal. Now, you'll get some good out of this, but you'll obviously have some bad. What happens is, eventually, they're going to start charging more for tickets, which fans don't like. There's already been an increase in 5% in the tickets we have in Old Trafford now. Okay? They're going to push people into premium seats. That's definitely going to happen. They're going to sell more expensive food, more expensive drinks, okay? More expensive experiences. And then, as we talked about, host concerts and events year round, which wouldn't necessarily be bad if we had people with good intentions for the football club, that they would redistribute this money into Manchester United to make us the most successful on the pitch. But I don't think anybody say we do. And why they do this? Because it's the easiest way to guarantee money every week, whether the team is good or not. And we have that example right now. Look at what we have with Old Trafford. Look at what Old Trafford is in a sense. We always talk about if we were able to empty the stadium on a weekly basis, these guys would shit themselves and probably sell the club, because a majority of that match day revenue is very important to them staying here. If we emptied the stadium as it currently is, they would be fucked. Okay, now think about it in reverse. Think about it if they're making decently good money with what we have now. Think about a new and improved one. Think about one that is like 3, 4, 5x better than what we have now. Think about the money that they stand to make from it. It's guaranteed money every week. Guaranteed. That's what they love about this shit. It is passive income. They know the fans are going to turn up. They know the fans are going to spend money. That's why they're not bothered. That's why they were scared when the Super League happened, because we called off a match, and they already were losing match day revenue. So they're looking at it like, imagine Old Trafford. Imagine the money we have from what we currently have in our stadium, and times it by 5, times it by 10. We'll be swimming. We'll be laughing all the way to the bank. This is their idea. This is their goal. This is what they're looking at. They're not concerned about the football. They're going to tell us all this stuff. Yeah, it'll be good for the area, new homes, and it'll be the best. Manchester United will be the envy of all places. And it's like, yeah, that sounds all great. What about the other shit? What about your other agenda? What about the hidden agenda you have? All right? But they're not going to talk about that, obviously. You would have to be stupid to do that. It's not built for the average fan. It's built to get the most money out of the average fan, and eventually you will push out the average fan. Why? Because the average fan probably won't be able to afford it. the average fan, the average person, probably in the long run won't be able to actually afford it anymore. And another thing is they can make money just from the promise, even before anything is finished. And I told you, remember those quotes from Lord Coe, okay? Even before anything is finished, just having the plan, just announcing the plan, can make the club look more valuable, which is why I think we're seeing the club value go up. That's why it's gone up on the Forbes list. It's increased. It can bring in sponsors, it can attract investors, and it can help them borrow money easier. So sometimes the people at the top benefit even if the project takes ages or changes. Sometimes just hype is profitable before a single brick is laid. So they're already taking advantage of the situation, per se. The ball is already rolling for them. Okay, nobody, go back 2-3 years, nobody was looking, we were losing sponsorship deals. People weren't really interested in the club in any sort of way, and it was a bit of a struggle for brands. We were starting to lose money there commercially. They just figured out a way how to get all of that back in, plus way more. Way more. Way more. Way more. And before I continue on, I'll jump back into the chat, okay? Listen, it might not change shit, but I always say to people, listen, I think it's better to stand on your feet and die than to die on your knees, yeah? And if the people actually care about this, if they think it's a problem, then I would advise for them to stand up and try and do something about it. It's okay if we fail. I think listen, if people stood up and it failed, I think everybody should be able to live with themselves and say, you know what? We fucking tried though. You know, we tried, we took a stand. I think you can live with yourself with that. I think what happens is if you don't try, and everybody will regret it down the line and say, we should have tried to do something. We should have tried to stop it. Because you're going to live with that regret. You're going to live with that guilt of not trying to do something. And we sort of live with it a little bit now, in that we should have tried to do things better or different ways before. But, you know, for a lot of us, it's like, listen, people have protested. They didn't sit on their couches and bitch and moan. They didn't go on a keyboard and just complain and just sit there and do nothing about it. They got up and tried. If it fails, it fails. You know, but at least you tried something. And you could say, you could live, I think people could live with themselves and say, yeah, it failed, and that sucks, but at least we didn't sit there, take it lying down, you know? And that's not what our football club is about. When has our football club, you know, if United has ever taught anybody anything of some sort of a life lesson to the history of that we've been through, our club is not a club. We have never sat there and took anything lying down, okay? We've always stood up. We've always fought with our backs against the wall at times when everything looks bleak, everything looks dark. We still stood up. And we still fought. And sometimes we were very successful and we made some, you know, insane miracles or, you know, crazy things happen. And sometimes, you know, it didn't work out for us. But that's what always made me proud about this football club is that aspect. It's that, you know, that Ferguson, that never give in mentality. And I think the people maybe have to remember that. You know, that's always been my life lesson from Manchester United. No matter how hard it is, never give in, never give up, and just fight. And even if you lose, it is what it is. But at least you fought. At least you fought. At least you gave you your best. You know, at least you tried and did something. At least you didn't just quit before the result actually came out. It's just going to be the stadium. Other teams have also other projects. Like City, United is powerful generator of growth and regeneration in Manchester. You are in la la land if you expect any business to sell land. Been seeing protests for years. Glazers don't care unless it hits where it hurts when they lose money, like the Liverpool game called off. Absolutely. And that's why I say, listen, I will back all these protests. I hope they get a bit smart about it. You know, I don't know. It's a massive job. It's a massive war to try and stop people from going in stadiums, if you could even do that. It's very hard. We're a bit divided. We're a bit all over the place. You know, it's very hard to try and hit them very hard the way we need to in their pockets, unfortunately. But you are right, and I've been a big advocate for that, is that ultimately, if we could have figured out a way, and maybe we still can, maybe it's a bit too late, but if we could have figured out a way to hit their pockets, we could win easily. Easily, we could win. Where we lose is that we can't figure out how to effectively hit their pockets. We haven't been able to do it, and we haven't done it yet. So, protests have been going on even before we won the last EPL with Fergie mates. Nothing changed. But listen, if you do a protest against the mayor, okay, if you stand up against the politicians and these other guys, it's a bit different. Okay, you could put public pressure against them. It might be a bit different. The aspect between Manchester United is different because, like I just explained, as long as the stadium keeps filling up, it's passive income. They don't care. So they're not going to go anywhere. But in terms of if you want to try and make this project as difficult for them as possible, if you want to try and like derail this because you don't think it's good, well, I think the people of the area need to start from the bottom. Okay? Don't go towards the Glazers. Go towards your elected officials. Go towards these people that are in that area trying to make these things happen, you know, and go from there. But it's got to be on them. You're done becoming a billionaire being done. They're ruthless who only care about money. Building a mini city off the club's name. That's so cool, but doesn't being successful also make you more valuable? When are they realizing that? It doesn't, Hasib. I don't think it does. We talked about this last time, Hasib. And I think that they have done a money crunch somewhere where I think if you spend a certain amount of money that gets the team to be just consistently in Champions League, but you don't spend the ultimate amount of money to be Premier League champions or Champions League champions and then sustain it with continued investment, I think it balances out for them. I think it balances out for them. I think it's a giant misconception that we've had in the fan base that because everybody always says that. Everybody always says that. And knowing them and how much they care about money, I think if it balanced out in the books, if it actually profited them, they would have went down that route. They would have actually went down that route. They don't seem interested in going down that route. They don't spend money in January. They run it like a business. Don't spend money in the first quarter. It's bad for business. No big business spends money in the first quarter. You know, we're penny pinching now. We're cutting costs all over the place, trying to clean the club up, make it look a little bit better. They tell you it's for self-sufficiency. I don't think it's for self-sufficiency. I think it's because, well, if you're looking to sell the club for 10 billion, you need to clean up where you're wasting money on the books so that when you do go to sell it to somebody, the books look nice and clean. Everything is nice and brand new. You know, it's operating smoothly. It's you know, it's a beautiful thing. We have a beautiful thing running here. You know, now all of a sudden they want to clean up everything. Now all of a sudden they want to make it all neat and tidy. You know, now all of a sudden we can't be, you know, Senny Lemons is reusing his kit, okay? To save money. Senny Lemons is reusing his kit. He just reused it from the last match because it was barely dirty, because he barely had anything to do. So instead of washing it or getting a new kit, they're not even doing that. He's just reusing it. You know. They're all like gremlins, multiplying off the club's money and demise. Sorry, I think I missed Axe's thing somewhere. That's a naff old area around Old Trafford. I hope they're offered good money to move it. Will be part of the 40-year Salford Quays renovation. See, you guys know more than me about it. I'm not from there, so I only know so much. Sebastian says, nice stuff, mate. Don't watch this channel a lot before, but nice stuff today. Cheers. Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it. What's the latest news with Carrick? Says Andresito. Listen, we're on a whole totally different conversation. We're going to get into that in a little bit, all right? I promise. Sebastian Sanchi sent us another super chat. Have you heard about the away games projection at Old Trafford? No, is that what is that exactly, Sebastian? Please tell me. I might have, but maybe you're just describing it in a different way. It's not clicking for me. Lawrence Berry said, "I said that the Glazers gave up on the football after Mourinho, and INEOS looked like the best allies for the stadium regeneration project. I think they gave. I think they gave up on it. Listen, it could be a master plan from the second they bought the club. Not the second, but maybe a couple years after they bought the club. But I think." For me, everything is literally, it's always been the day Sir Alex Ferguson walked out of that football club. Their true colors, their true agenda, their true, when they started really making the moves is when Sir Alex walked out of that door. That to me, our football club essentially, basically, we're not dead, but it essentially died because I always view it as, they came in there, and again, they're not stupid people. They knew what Sir Alex Ferguson meant. They saw the success he brought. When they came to this club, he was already there. He already succeeded. They're not dumb people. They know that there was nothing that they could really do in terms of they couldn't take the club in the direction they have taken the club. And listen, the world has moved in that way as well, right? But they couldn't do a lot of the things that they've done after he left while he was there, because I think they played a game as well. He was a little bit, on their side, or, he wasn't as against them as we are. Okay. And he sort of had this working relationship with them. And I think that they played it well. Because I think they talked to him and they were like, listen, a little bit of business, and he was a gambler and he was into that sort of stuff. So I think he understood a little bit of the business side, and they didn't go too hard on trying to destroy the football side, but they went and destroyed the football side as soon as he walked out of that door. As soon as he was no longer the manager, he walked out of that door. Cash says, what changed between us facing Arsenal in game week 1 to now? Ahmad Amino starts, Bruno up top again, Delit injured, Bayinda. It's a double-edged sword. You hit their pockets, you hit transfer budgets. Yeah, but I get that. But I don't think that they would necessarily be able to survive for very long. So we might have to take a hit in the transfer window. But ultimately, you need short-term pain for long-term gain. And it would be better if we suffered for a transfer window or two, and ultimately we were able to get these people out of our club for the rest of eternity, than it is to continue with the machine. Because if you're worried about that, Sanchi, we're continuing with the machine. You're continuing with this system that we clearly don't like. We don't like the Glazers being here. Many people are very upset and angry at INEOS here, okay? And to say, well, listen, if we hit their pockets, we won't be able to get transfers. Yeah, that's the whole point. That's what the Glazers love. They love the summer transfer window. They love letting shit run badly and not doing the proper thing, and then going and getting you a new player to hold in your face like a shiny new toy and say, oh, look what we got you. And then everybody gets all excited and everybody's like, well, let's see what we get this season. And then somehow the season turns to shit. And then everybody's like, oh, fuck the Glazers. And it's like, well, they just keep giving us shiny new toys and we just keep giving them a chance. Why? Because we love the club. We want the football club to do well. We want to be successful. But at the same time, these people, that's not their agenda, and they keep fucking us over. Enterprise value equals equity market plus debit cash. They will increase debt and take out all the cash. It's just financial engineering and scavengers. Well, there you go. Cash's got a little bit of financial background there, a little bit of an financial understanding. So, that can't be real. What do you mean? What can't be real? When you say things, please be specific. Renosa says, I think they started before Fergie. Didn't he want Bale to compete for the more Champions League trophy? And they said no. I think Fergie saw the writing on the wall and dipped just in time. Well, they might have started a little bit. What I'm saying is they went full-fledged force. As soon as he was gone, they were like, okay. I always picture in my mind they play like this movie role, like a movie, like a scene out of a movie where they're like, all right, this old bastard is finally out of our way. Now we could fucking do whatever we want to the football club. We'll commercialize the shit out of it. This old fuck is out of the way. He's not going to say anything anymore. You know what I mean? He's not a manager anymore, and he's going to go into the background. And they'll probably hold it over to him of like, you know, if you want to stick around, if you want access to the matches, you know, just keep your mouth closed, which he has done to a certain extent. He's never come out and actually, you know, as much as I love Sir Alex Ferguson, he's never come out and he's never said a bad word about them, you know? And I don't know why. I don't actually know why. I don't know. I don't want to like go down that hole. I don't want to say they've given him money, they blackmailed him, they've, you know, I don't know what it is. Maybe he just generally agrees with some of the things. Some of the things. You know. Or maybe he's just a guy that's just like, listen, it is what it is and it's not my place. Maybe he doesn't feel like it's his place. I don't know what it is. But I also think in that time, Bruno, so he might have wanted certain players, and Fergie did spend money at times, but also I think he was a guy that also, when you look at him, he was like somebody that like, he didn't believe in paying ridiculous prices. You know, he came across to me as that kind of guy. Like, you know, he doesn't stand for bullshit. And if he thinks the market is bullshit, well, that kind of plays into the Glazers' hands as well. So I think some of it came from Sir Alex. No Manchester United staff has ever said something bad about the Glazers sincerely. Maybe they just can't, dude. You know? But let me continue. Okay, because I want to get through this, and then we could talk about Arsenal, we could talk about United, we could talk about Carrick, we could talk about some of the transfer updates, okay? But I want to hit this, I want to hit these guys, okay? So the Special Project Group, which is the group that they just announced, this is set up, these special groups, to push projects through faster. They'll say it's for speed and getting things done, but what it can also mean is less time for regular people to question it. Which, again, remember, Lord Coe. Remember what Lord Coe said. All right? Remember what Lord Coe said. He said, we are now open for business, and there's a lot to do. Over the next few months, we will share our outline and master plan, and we will begin to make this vision a reality. To me, what that tells me is, if we're going to do anything about it, we have a few months. That's what that means to me. If you're going to do anything about it, if you want to do anything about it before it's actually too late, you have the next few months before they actually, once they outline this master plan, it's already probably set and it's probably really hard to stop. Okay? And they might already have this master plan sort of outlined to a certain degree, and maybe they're just holding back to release it. But remember what he said, okay? I don't know about him, but he is involved in this. I don't know if I can't say if he's a good man, a bad man, but he's involved in this, okay? Less time for regular people to question it. Less time for local/fans to push back. The plan starts feeling inevitable, like some of you may already feel, like you have no choice. When they say fast-tracked, I hear you're not getting any real say in this. And that's another aspect. You know, I think now that they're getting close to it, and now that they made this, you know, this group or whatever, they know they need to get this shit as done as fast to give people as less time as possible to push back. They are going to try and run through this shit because they know once they get to a certain stage of it, it's going to be too late. I don't actually think it's too late yet. I don't. But I don't think there's a lot of time. I think if people got up tomorrow and made a stand about this, I think there is a fighting chance to some degree. But I think if everybody sits around and doesn't move, month, 2 months, whatever it is, the longer you wait, the less time you have, the less chance. And ultimately, once we hit that point, I think then it is inevitable. For real, it is inevitable. I don't believe it is right now. I think that there's still a chance, okay? Now, the part that matters most, who ends up paying? Fans pay. And you already know how this goes. Ticket prices creep up, concessions disappear or get reduced, more premium options get pushed, match day becomes more expensive overall. Why? Because fans are the easiest and most reliable money source. This is how they think. I'm not giving you an opinion. This is how they think. This is how they operate. Fans are the easiest and most reliable money source. That's what they think of us. That's what they think of us. We're not human beings. They don't care about the history. They don't care about any of that. They sit there and say, fans are the easiest and most reliable money source that we have. Right? And the fans say the similar thing, but they say it in a different way. What do the fans always say? We are the lifeline of the club. Well, they're basically saying the same thing, but it's in dollar values for them. We don't say it in dollar values. We say it with respect. We say it with, dignity. We say it with meaning, with purpose. But it's for them, it's dollar signs. Sponsors come and go. Players come and go. But fans keep paying. Remember those things. Sponsors come and go. There's always, how many sponsors have we had on the kits? Chevrolet, AIG, Sharp. They come and go. Fans keep coming, though. They always show up. The fans are always there. We've had tons of different sponsors on our kits. They come and go. But we're always here, aren't we? We never really go anywhere. Even if we're shit, we're still here. Players come and go. We've had Beckhams. We've had Giggsies. We've had Cantonas. We've had Scholesies. We've had Rooneys. We've had Vanessa Roys. We've had Louis Sahas. We've had Welbacks. We've had Nanis. We've had Ronaldos. We've had Bests. We've had, Pogbas. And doesn't matter. We'll always get somebody else. They'll come and go. But the fans keep paying. They keep coming. They're always here. They're always giving us money. Always giving us money. They call it world class while pricing out the people who made it what it is. And workers pay as well. When big plans happen, there's usually cutting costs behind the scenes, layoffs, restructuring, people doing more work with fewer staff. Doesn't that sound familiar to what we're already seeing at the football club itself? Layoffs, restructuring, people doing more work with fewer staff. Why? Because it makes the finances look better quickly. They'll sell a dream in public and cut people's livelihoods in private. Regular people and taxpayers can pay too, even if they say the stadium is private. Even if they claim we're paying for the stadium ourselves, or we're going to get investors, there's almost always extra costs around it. And this is what I was trying to say before. Roads and transport upgrades, public spaces, policing, infrastructure, things that the area needs to handle bigger crowds. And a lot of that ends up being supported by public money, public effort, or public priorities. So, what does that actually mean? The stadium might be private. We might get private investors or public investors, but, we might get investments from outside. But the stuff that makes it work, that's where the public gets dragged in, because the people are going to have to pay for those things. They're going to have to pay for those through taxes, through increased taxes and stuff like that. Why both the Glazers and INEOS can come out winning? The Glazers benefit and INEOS benefit, and all the business partners benefit too, because the club becomes more valuable and more profitable in the long run. And sort of the dynamic that I think they've been trying to implement here between the Glazers and the INEOS, right? And people have said that INEOS is a shield that is, for the Glazers. But I like it how it's put like this. One group gets the money, which technically they both end up getting the money in the long run, but one group mainly gets the money, which is what they're concerned about. And if it was some sort of success, one group gets the good PR, which was supposed to be INEOS. The fans get the bill. The fans end up probably getting the short end of the stick. The biggest warning signs, huge promises like jobs and homes. Sounds great, but here's the real, what kind of jobs? They tell you all these jobs. What are the jobs? What kind of jobs? What do the jobs pay? How are the wages? Are the wages good, or are they going to be cheap? What kind of homes? And who are they affordable to? They don't tell you this. This is the problem I have. When they tell you we're going to make 70,000 new homes, or whatever the number is, 15,000 new homes. When they tell us 15,000 new homes, that sounds wonderful. How much they're going to cost? Are people actually going to be able to afford them? Who can afford them? They don't tell you these things. But they just tell you 15,000 new homes. It sounds wonderful. It sounds like a really good thing. Like, yeah, I'm sure that area does need revitalization. I'm sure that area does need help. But the people behind it probably have the worst intentions. If you probably couldn't get worst people to do a project like this, because they probably have the ultimately worst intentions possible. It's not even like it's half and half. It's not even like there's a guy that's maybe, a billionaire that grew up in Manchester that would look to make some money, but also maybe take care of the people. You know what I mean? But that's not the scenario we're in. And that's where I think the biggest difference is, and that's where I think the biggest problem is. They keep saying we have to move fast. That usually means don't ask too many questions, don't slow it down, trust us, and move on. If it's such a good deal, it should survive questions. They don't want questions. They don't want people to question it. They don't want people to think about it. They want the least amount of time for people to focus on this. And they have other playbooks, right? They're going to distract us with summer transfers, the chaos of what Manchester United is. United doing well, United doing bad, sacking managers, hiring managers. That's all of the, that's all of the play, that's all of the facade while they're doing all this shit in the background. Nobody gives us a clear answer on who pays for what, which is what they said in their ultimate plan. They'll outline it for us, but by that time it'll be probably too late, which is why they're going to do it then, and they're not going to do it now. Because I think if they did it now, things aren't in place. People aren't going to... And I hope this isn't true. But I do feel like a lot of people are letting this fly under the radar because they don't understand or they're not grasping the situation. And when they ultimately outline their master plan, as Lord Coe has said, when they do it, and when it's sort of it's broken down into plain English and not like some business language, and people understand what it actually is going to do and what's actually going to happen, I think people are going to be pissed, and I don't think people are actually going to be for it. But by the time that happens, it is already too late. By the time they give you that outline of the master plan, that time is too late. The time is now. So, I mean, I think the people, in reality, the people should be asking, the people of that area specifically, because this really matters to them. And if, they have a different opinion than me, they could always voice it and they could say that I'm wrong. But from what I can gather up, from what I can see, from what I can think, I mean, if I was one of these people, at the very least, that lived in that area and that surrounding area, I'd be saying, show me the full money breakdown. And I want it now. I don't want it later. I want to know how it's being paid for exactly. The stadium, the roads, the transport upgrades, the infrastructure. What happens if it costs more than planned? How about, offer us some protection for the fans properly? Keep concessions. There's no guarantee of that. Stop pricing normal fans out. Be transparent about ticket policies. There needs to be some sort of a guarantee that the housing is actually going to be affordable and not turn into luxury flats for, people to just come in there and turn into like a vacation area and have no soul and have no culture and have no history or anything like that. And then obviously the last one, which they'll definitely never do, is be honest about who profits, which we all know who profits anyway. So, But that was my little rant on that. And I think people need to just, keep that in mind. Because as much as I I mean, I would have liked to originally keep Old Trafford anyway. Part of me doesn't believe them. Part of me, I'll tell you this much. Part of me doesn't believe what they've told us, okay? I don't know who said it. Hasib said it. It was either Hasib or maybe it was Sebastian. Somebody said it earlier that, you know, it's they let it rot to a point where we can't revitalize it. We can't, you know, we can't like reinvest into Old Trafford. It's past the point. And you know what? That could be true, but at the same time, I will make the argument. Why? Because they told you? Why? Because they told you that? Why? Because the Glazers and INEOS, who are the Glazers partners, told everybody that it's not worth it. It's not worth to keep Old Trafford. It's not worth to put in the money into it. Oh, is it? Oh, it'd be counterproductive, is it? I don't believe that. I actually don't believe them. I think if you got separate, I think if you owned an adjudication company for some type of business like that, okay, construction wise, okay, and you actually got them to look at that, I think you can find somebody that could make it work and make it work for a good price. And I think actually we could keep Old Trafford exactly where it is. I think actually you could probably spend a similar close amount of money. But it's not really the same, is it? It's not really the same, you know? It doesn't hit the same. It doesn't hit the same to investors. It doesn't hit the same to sponsors, right? We're building a shiny new toy. We're not taking the old toy and giving it a paint job. We're getting you the 2020, you know, we're getting you the 2030 version. We're not redoing sort of the classic car. You know, we're getting you the new Lamborghini to a certain degree. I don't believe them. You know, I bought into it a little bit because I was like, well, you know, but I feel stupid when they said that now. Thinking about it. I've been thinking about it for fucking weeks now. I've been thinking about it and saying to myself, you know, they all just pretty much came out and said, yeah, you know, we wanted to keep Old Trafford where it was. We wanted to reinvest into it, but it's not worth it. Who is it not worth it for? The football club or for your pockets? When you tell me it's not worth it, why is it not worth it? Because you stand to make 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6x money doing the new stadium route instead of keeping the same one? Not that it's not logistically possible. Not that it's literally physically impossible to do. Not literally that it would maybe cost us triple the money and it literally doesn't make sense. It's just because you stand to make more money going the other way. Instead of, again, keeping the soul, keeping the history, keeping the culture of the football club, keeping things that are important to people. No, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Worth it to who? Nobody asked that question. Who is it not worth to? It's not worth it to you, Joel? It's not worth it to you, Avram? We don't share the same, you know, we don't share the same morality. We don't share the same ideologies. Okay? As fans and Glazers, what's worth it to them? I don't have the same feelings of what's worth. Okay, I have a different feelings of worth. They don't give a fuck about anything else. In the past, Sir Jim Ratcliffe submitted a formal offer to buy Chelsea worth about $4.25 billion, which included funds committed both to purchase the club and invest in the team and stadiums over the future. Yeah, Sir Alex never went out of line with them. I think that market talk might have been protecting them. We sold Ronaldo for a major price and it never truly got him reinvested. That was the one that pissed me off the most. That was the biggest one that pissed me off the most. Why that money is not put into our club now? We are suffering and soon going to be in financial turmoil because we only have 40 games a season, so missed revenue. It's not, though. In the past, Sir Jim Ratcliffe submitted formal offer to buy Chelsea. Is that what you're going off of? Well, because Sir Jim would have offered... Well, the reason why cash is because Sir Jim would have owned all of Chelsea. Sir Jim doesn't own all of Manchester United. And so he's not going to put more. Listen, he's put in a certain amount of money. And I think he's put in the money for the percentage that he owns. So unless the Glazers want to give him more, which they might not be willing to do, because I think they like this split. I think they like the split that they have. Because again, they want 10 billion. They already sold a piece. The fact that they sold a piece of it and took a bit of guaranteed profits now, you know, and then they're looking for more profits in the end. So Jim's not going to put in more money. He put in the amount of money that he's put in for somebody that owns 28% while the Glazers own the other part. So he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. Lucky says, don't go to Old Trafford. People watch the games in different ways. I think we should try one massive worldwide sort of blackout. Nobody go to the match in the ground. Nobody watch the match on TV. One major giant blackout. There's people that are going to watch it, but I think if it was strong enough, a lot of people wouldn't. There's a video on YouTube titled, What If Jupiter Collided with Earth? That's what's going to happen when I'll go for the places. It's similar to we rebuild Gaza, like for whom? Certainly not for the Palestinians. Oh, yeah. And other places, I guess, you know. It's been done throughout history. As long as we don't own the club, we have the chance. As long as we don't own the club, we have the chance to have our voices heard. Eric, I want to warn all fans about going Old Trafford. Don't forget, its owners use profitable and not investing Premier League, La Liga team. Well, the problem is some people just don't give a shit about that stuff. Lucky, they don't. You know, they don't. They don't. Listen, the problem is, and this is what I'm saying, some people really just don't fucking care. Some people, they're not willing, and this is why I'm saying it has to come from them. You can't force them. All you're going to do is push them the other way. But some people, they value going and watching their team in person. Okay? You cannot convince that guy no matter what you tell them, no matter what you say. You cannot convince them to not go to the match. You cannot convince them. That is the issue we have. That is the issue we have. Because all it does is what usually happens is that person feels alienated, right? They feel attacked, and what they do is they attack back. And now, instead of we were having a discussion about how we get the Glazers out, now we got two United fans fighting against each other, calling each other stupid and idiots and morons and names and all types of shit, and calling them shitheads and dickheads and whatever. And the whole point gets lost. And that's just a small sample size. That's 1v1. Now times that by 1,000 versus 1,000, times that by 10,000 versus 10,000, 100,000 versus 100,000, 500,000, and that's where we lose. That's where we lose. You're preaching now, dog. Cash says, but who is at fault here? We as fans always buy into the spin. First INEOS, then it was the manager, then it was the front three, then it was Baleba. Now it's interim and big summer spending. Well, we have our own responsibility as well. You know, we're not absolved of it. I've always called out parts of the fan base as well. But I think there's got to be different ways to go about it. I think in the past, the people like us that wanted to try and make a difference and speak about it, we went about it the wrong way. We attacked our fellow fans. You know, listen, I was there through a lot of periods going through it, you know, behind the scenes, but trying to lead protests and stuff like that, even online campaigns and stuff like that. And we listen, the fan base at that period, I think, let's go back like 4, 5, 6 years ago, we were going about it the wrong way. Going way around, instead of educating people, instead of trying to just make a notice of it and make it a public thing that's constantly talked about. What was ending up happening in the fan bases, and it still happens. But I think right now there's at least a section of people that have understood that was the wrong way to go about it, and I think they're going about it a different way. We would attack the other side. Our own fans were attacking each other. There was the people that, like Lucky is saying, don't go in the stadium. Okay? And people took a stand and sacrificed and didn't go to the matches, or they actually gave up their season tickets. Okay? Or they canceled MUTV. And anybody that didn't do it, the other people were harassing them to the point where you become enemies. And it was very counterproductive. It was very counterproductive because everything got lost and nothing got unified. And actually what happens is the fan base gets split even further than it is. And everybody just starts screaming at each other. And it gets very personal. And the whole fucking argument and the whole focus and the whole thing gets lost. But now, it's a bit different. It's a bit different. Nobody is personally attacking. Well, listen. The big people, like Terry Flowers or even Goldbridge to a certain degree, they're just expressing their opinions. They're not really attacking people on a personal level. They're not how it used to be, not how it was. You know, I remember I used to watch Terry Flowers a lot. I used to watch him almost every day. And I remember that part where, you know, we were trying to protest the Glazers as much as possible. And Terry would always say, we got to hit them where the pockets are, which I always agreed with. We have to hit them financially. And he would tell people, don't buy the kits, don't buy the merch, don't fucking buy the tickets, don't pay. And sometimes it would get into a very heated conversation where people would say, I'm not canceling my season ticket. And the other people would scream and yell at them and say, you are a fucking Glazer supporter. You are a selfish piece of shit for refusing to give up your season ticket. And that was wrong. Because all we did was push those people away from us. All we did was push those people away. All we did was pit those people against us. Now they hate us. You know, then they come back and they say, well, you're not a match-going fan. You're not a real fan. You can fuck off. Blah, blah, blah. And and then the whole thing is fucked. The whole thing was fucked. So, yes, to Cash's point, in a long way, to Cash's point, we have responsibility. Okay? Definitely. The Glazers have responsibility because they are the ones that are spearheading shit like this. But we have our own responsibility for this as well. We've played our own part in it. You know, and we have ourselves to blame as well. As we always have. Blackout, how could we do this? Well, it's not for me to do, but would have to. For me, it would have to start a large. I think obviously the internet is the best way. It would have to be a large sort of social media campaign to start with, to spread awareness, to spread a blackout like that, and. It just, I mean, it sounds easier said than done, but the way you would set that up is just, you need people to stay on message. You need to get in contact with as many people as possible in terms of, again, like you go to the United Stand, you go to Terry Flowers, you go to the 58, you go to, you know, all these people, email them, DM them, whatever. If you can get them on side, if you can get them to agree and do a consistent messaging and, you know, pick a date, pick a match, and everybody agrees to it, and then all you have to do is just stick to that. Don't get distracted. No matter what happens, you know, even if we're, you know, on a fucking 8-game winning streak, if people are actually serious about it, then make a fucking sacrifice. You know, that's all I say. Just make a sacrifice. If you actually care, if you're actually about it, What I will say going forward is, if you actually care, right? If you actually want to try and make a difference, I think individually, you need to try and make whatever sacrifice you want. Don't worry about anybody else. Make whatever sacrifice you can. Whether that means you don't buy the kits, whether that means you don't go to the matches, whatever it is, whether you have MUTV and you cancel that subscription, I would say to people, if I could speak to the entire world with a giant microphone, I tell them, don't worry about anybody else. Don't make a decision saying that, you know what, it's all for nothing and nothing's going to happen. You know, if I cancel my MUTV subscription, it doesn't matter. No. It should matter to you though. And if this issue actually matters to you, if you actually don't like the Glazers, if you actually don't don't want them here, if you wish there was something that you could actually do more, well, at least start with what you got. Don't buy the kids. Be okay with yourself. Forget everybody else. Because I think that's part of the mentality trick that we have. You've seen a couple people said this in the chat. The protests are useless. Nothing changes, nothing happens. May very well be, but when you look at it in that way, you say, well, I'm not gonna, I don't support the Glazers, but I'm gonna keep buying the kit because me not buying the kit doesn't make a difference. And I've always said, well, if you think like that, and that guy thinks like that, and this guy thinks like that, and that guy thinks like that, and this guy thinks like that, well, then we've lost the battle, yeah? But if everybody sort of focuses on their own thing, if everybody just says, I'm not going to do it for the sake of me because I don't believe in giving the money, I don't believe in buying the fucking kits, I'm not going to do it for myself. If everybody else wants to go do it, go right ahead. It doesn't fucking matter if everybody else does it. I'm not going to do it. I truly believe if a lot of people could start adopting that mentality, well, you get Johnny wouldn't buy the kits, then John wouldn't buy the kits, Brandon wouldn't buy the kits, Eric wouldn't buy the kits, because everybody's focusing on themselves and not getting demoralized. Can't believe, Eric, that haven't seen how the club ownership, how they are. We, as fans of Manchester United, it's ironic INEOS in itself was the wrong decision. Eric, we're going to try different things, Fulham protest. Well, listen, on the Fulham protest, and then we'll move on to the Arsenal match. But on the Fulham protest, yeah, I just saw the other day that they were saying that they expect the largest turnout for a protest that they've ever had. Expected numbers are, I think, about 5,000, and they're saying they're expecting more, over 5,000 people. So that's encouraging. I hope it's true, because what will really be deflating is putting that out saying that you think it's going to be even bigger than 5,000 and it's lower. That's a way for the cause to get killed. That's the way to kill belief in people, okay? If fucking 10,000 people show up and it is absolutely massive, it's a huge W. Because there are people out there that need to see things to believe in it. And so if this turnout against Fulham is fucking massive, it can be sort of a bit of a catalyst for people that, maybe they feel a little bit disillusioned. Maybe they feel like, there's no point to it. But there's always some sort of catalyst. So I hope it's massive. I hope it's fucking the biggest one we've ever seen. I hope it's the most powerful, biggest one. I hope, however they've planned it smart. I hope they've planned it so that it's, as impactful as possible. I wish them nothing but the best. I'll be watching, from the internet, whatever photos they got, videos, I'll be reposting, putting them up to wherever I can. I'll even bring some on the channel. Maybe when we do the Red Devil recap, for that match, maybe I'll be doing, maybe we'll be doing a watch along. I'll bring it up live as well. So, let's do it. Let's organize. I mean, we could try. It's very hard. It's very hard. I always wish I just had a bigger platform, because I would actually be trying these things, Unless you encourage a fan ownership model, we will still fail, unfortunately. I don't believe that. Listen, I'm not against a fan ownership model, but I don't see a plausible way of it happening. So if somebody created and devised a plan of how we achieve that, and it makes sense, I'll be on board with it. But off the top of my head, and the way I see sort of the whole system, because it ain't just about Manchester United, it's about football and the Premier League in general, sort of the machine, I think there is a 0% possibility of having a fan ownership in the Premier League in today's time with the way things are. So unless somebody can devise some sort of plan or even a concept and an idea of how that would even be achieved, I don't buy that. But what I will do is get other people in. We can back you starting here, and it starts. You got a lot of traffic with that tweet. Yeah, listen, it's very hit or miss though, you know. But listen, I'll try something. The problem is that really what I would like is because again, like I don't really want to be the one that spearheads that sort of thing. I do feel like the people of that area need to be the ones that spearhead that. I accept my role as an online sort of fan. I accept my role as sort of a foreign fan in that there are people that are directly affected by this. I do think that the people on the ground, you know, feet on the ground is very, very important. And I think that they are very powerful. And I ultimately think it has to start with them. You know what I mean? And I'm not one of them. So I don't feel like I'm the right person to kind of spearhead this. But sometimes I do wish that I had a voice like Terry Flowers, or I had a voice like Mark Goldbridge. I had the platform that they had. Because if I actually had that platform, I have a bit of power where I can actually go talk to these people. You know, I don't like Saeed's content. I'd still go fucking DM Saeed. I'd go to Terry. I'd go to fucking Alice Talks Football. I'd go to all of these people, message them the same thing and say, listen, I'm trying to fucking start something. Okay? I have an idea. I don't want to be the leader of it, but I have an idea. Hear me out. What do you think? And what should we do about it if you agree? But I'm, you know, in comparison to them, I'm a fucking nobody. So it's very hard to get them to care. It's hard for them to get them to listen to me. All my kits are from Asia anyway, homie. Oh, fair play. Go on, Fulham. I'm gonna do spread the word. Please, everybody, come watch us games differently. Come bars. Demand ownership, investment, Premier League, La Liga players, club managers. Yeah. All right, but we do have other news, right? And we're gonna talk about Carrick. We're gonna talk about some of the transfer updates. Okay, we dedicated a good hour and a half to the Glazers, to INEOS, to sort of this scam that I feel like it is because of the people that they are. But let's move on to like actual football news, right? And let's go to a little bit more chill vibes, all right? Because we can't sit here and talk about the Glazers for 3 hours, all right? As much as I would want to, you know, we can't sit here and talk about the Glazers. People don't want to talk about the Glazers for 3 hours. I don't even necessarily want to talk about the Glazers for 3 hours because, unfortunately, I think that whole side of the thing I think it's very unfortunate that we have to do that. I think it's unfortunate that I have to become a business guy and talk about fucking land and profits and, you know, I don't really want to do that. But I feel a partial responsibility to do it because these fucking assholes have been and are still destroying our football club. And they've created this environment. So, but I wish that wasn't the case because actually I don't want to sit here and talk about fucking land. I don't want to talk about profits. I don't want to talk about how potentially the fans are going to get fucked over and people of the air. I don't want to talk about any of that. I want to talk about football. I want to talk about the sport that I love. I want to talk about the match we're going to play. You know? Jose taking a bit of a shot at some people. Jose Mourinho, I missed this. This was from a day or two ago. Jose said, I'm surprised to see coaches who haven't achieved anything and don't have a resume training the biggest clubs in the world. Well, yep, that's because that's the way the football is moving, bro. That's the way football is moving. Because they don't, I don't know really what it is. I don't really know where the idea has come from that they want these sort of puppets. They want these sort of, I don't really know what it's about. I don't know what it's about. I don't know if it's because somebody's devised it and supposedly it's supposed to be more beneficial to the club. Maybe it's supposed to be more beneficial to the people that run the club. They don't get held to ransom to a certain manager. I don't know what it is. But that's where football is going, Jose. That's where that's where football is going. They don't want people like you anymore. They don't want people like you anymore, Jose. They don't want you. They don't want you going out in press conferences, doing the fucking shit you've been doing. They don't want you to. They don't want people that act the way you do. They don't want people that act. They don't want people that demand sort of the certain level of respect or demands with transfers. They don't want any of that. They just want the guy that they tell, here's your players, here's your formations, essentially probably fucking robots to a certain extent. Here's your players, here's the formation, this is the style of football you're playing, train the fucking players to do it. And if you can't do it, we'll fire you, we'll get somebody else. I don't know. You know? Renault says, okay, I'll continue talking in the Discord. I had a whole response locked and loaded, but let's talk. Listen, you could drop it in there anyway. It doesn't matter. It's not that big of a deal. You could drop it in the live chat. It's fine. I'm going to switch, but I'll jump back for a split second if, you know, it's not a big deal, Renault, so you can make your point. Hold on, I'm just trying to find a few of the updates here. So, okay, here we go. A sort of quick rapid fire, and then we'll hit Arsenal, okay? RB Leipzig's £87 million demand for Jan Diomande is putting clubs off, making a bid, putting off clubs making a bid this month. Tottenham, Liverpool, and Manchester United are among a number of teams who are monitoring the Ivory Coast winger. Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich are also watching him closely. A lot of competition for this guy. But it believes clubs are currently not prepared to make an offer given the asking price is so high. That update came about 10 hours ago from Sky Sports Lyle. Lyle's everywhere. He's on Sky Sports. You know, he's in our Discord. He's in the live chat. He's our moderator. He's all over the place. He says, now my feelings are hurt. Let's see what else we got. United are awaiting Michael Carrick's decision on whether he needs a short-term midfield reinforcement. If he agrees, the club will effectively pursue a deal in the remaining days of the transfer window. Oh, how fucking convenient. You know? How convenient. Oh, now we're waiting for Carrick's decision? Wait. Don't we have a director of football? Don't we have a director of football? Don't we have, you know, head of recruitment? Now we're waiting for Carrick? Now it's on Carrick. On whether he needs a short-term midfield reinforcement. Shouldn't you fucking know if we need it? You know, where is Mr. Jason Wilcox, the manager? Where are you? You know, where'd you go? Shouldn't you know? Shouldn't you know if we need one? Shouldn't you be able to analyze the squad? Shouldn't you be able to analyze the situation of the football club? Shouldn't you be able to look at, you know, sort of the level of the other teams, of what their squads is and what their competition is, and assess, you know, do we need some sort of short-term midfield reinforcement for the rest of the season? Isn't that your fucking job? Aren't you supposed to be doing that? Isn't that the whole point of having director of footballs and sporting directors? And aren't you supposed to be addressing all that? Now we're waiting for Carrick to make a decision on whether he needs a short-term midfielder. Meanwhile, Carrick is here till the end of the season. So what does it fucking matter? Ready again. They're waiting Michael Carrick whether he needs transfer midfielders or wingers. No, yeah, I'm reading right here. United are awaiting Michael Carrick's decision on whether he needs a short-term midfield reinforcement. If he agrees, the club will actively pursue a deal in the remaining days of the transfer window. They should know. They should be able to assess the team, assess the squad. Okay? They should be able to do that, and they should be able to make this decision. They should be able to. They should know the answer to that. They shouldn't need Michael Carrick to tell them. Because again, this is my thing. It's like you went and stepped on Ruben's toes. Now you want to back off because it's Carrick or some shit. You know, I don't know what it is. But you got to a point where you didn't have a problem stepping on Ruben's toes. You didn't give a fuck if Ruben asked for reinforcements. You didn't care. At one point, you basically gave the middle finger to Ruben. But now you can't make an idea. Now you can't make a decision, or you can't think of something because now you need Carrick's approval? Okay. All right. We talked a little bit about the goalkeeper yesterday, right, guys? We were talking a little bit about the squad, but we did get this update from Mike McGrath saying Tom Heaton is understood to be in the frame for an extension as Manchester United's number 3 because of how he works in the group of goalkeepers. At this point, listen, I don't really give a fuck about that too much. It's not like it's a major impact. But at the rate we're going with Tom Heaton, let's just give him a lifetime contract and we'll keep him there, until, he's 95 years old. You know what I mean? Maybe that means we are waiting for Carrick to say if he's down for Ndidi or not. You know what? That could very well be. Could very well be. Might just be, worded in not that way. Yeah. Because, ultimately, Reynoso, but what does that mean? You know what I mean? When they say short-term midfield reinforcement, well, that sounds better than saying United are awaiting Michael Carrick's decision on whether he wants to sign washed former Premier League player Wilfred Ndidi on loan. And if he agrees, the club will actively pursue the deal in the remaining days of the window. Yeah. Generalizing it and saying on whether he needs a short-term midfielder reinforcement sounds way better, because when you say Ndidi, it sounds like shit, doesn't it? Michael Carrick also did a little bit of his press conference, but I don't think I got pretty much a summary, okay? Because I don't think there's like anything major that we really had to get too much into for Carrick on this one so far. But press conference summary versus Arsenal. Carrick says Delot handled last week's game well despite the yellow card, which was a good point that I didn't point out and mention. He did get on that yellow. He almost got a red, but he handled the rest of the match very good in terms of that. He never came close to getting a second yellow. So I give him credit for that as well. He handled that well. He admitted some inconsistency, which I agree with, but praising his focus, commitment, and performance. And that's why people like him. And when I say people, I mean like the coaches, managers, staff, etc., the team. Carrick says Sesko is in a good place, training well, with his finishing in pressing in particular. Well, that's at least a decently positive update. Carrick has also said Maino represents the club's future, praising his rise, character in big games, and the way he enjoyed expressing himself last week. That's a very big positive as well. Casimir's departure was decided before he arrived, but said Case is fully committed to finishing the season strongly. That much we know. And then Carrick also updated us and said Carrick said that De Ligt has had a minor delay, which I laughed at when I read this, in his recovery, but no major setback. That's why I laughed. With the return expected in the coming weeks. I laughed not because De Ligt is not back and not because De Ligt has had a setback. I laughed because they have literally been telling us that De Ligt has had a minor delay in his recovery for fucking weeks and that it's no major setback. But after about a month and a half of minor delays, is it not a fucking major setback? You know what I mean? So that's why I laugh, because it's like, yeah, listen, he was supposed to be back a week or two ago. He's had a minor delay in his recovery, but no major setback. Even though he was only supposed to be out for 2 weeks, 2 fucking months ago, and he's still expected to be back in 2 weeks from now. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's been a major setback. Yeah, it's been a major setback. But hopefully he's back in the next 2 weeks and we can finally put this shit behind us. You know what I mean? Um, these idiots want us to buy wash up loan. Yeah, they're morons. Yep, that's like saying if you're really truly hungry, we'll give you this big pile of shit to eat. Yeah, but in a less sort of, it's like if you're really truly hungry, we'll give you a nice big pile of something kind of edible, you know? And you're like, okay, well, I'm fucking starving, so give me whatever it is. And then like, here you go, it's a big pile of shit. Could you technically eat it? Yeah. Are you gonna enjoy it? No. You know what I mean? Like, is it gonna be fucking good? Absolutely not. That's why I see it. Eric, how long can we keep a body in good shape? That's problem with Ndidi. The problem with Ndidi is that I think at the very least you would say if you don't think Conor Gallagher is good enough, well, I would take Conor Gallagher over Loftus-Cheek or Ndidi any fucking day of the week. And it's like, well, we went from João Gomez potentially in January to potentially Conor Gallagher to then potentially Ndidi and potentially Loftus-Cheek. So it went from like maybe C to about a fucking D or an F, you know? And I'm like, not only are we not doing anything, but we've also gone backwards. Instead of trying to go up, instead of going from like average and maybe try and go up, we went from average and went down. It's gotten shitter. So not only are we not doing anything, but they then go, well, if we do something, it's going to be shitter than what it originally was going to be. Carrick shouldn't bring in any new players. It might change the dynamics of the team. Let him work with the current squad. We'll be playing only one match a week. Yeah, but I'm not asking him to buy somebody. And I'm not asking Carrick to buy anybody specifically. Anyway, again, these people, if you are the director of football, if you are the CEO, if you are the head of recruitment, scouting, and all that shit, well, realistically, your job is supposed to have like a plan for the club. So you should be able to analyze the squad, analyze the market, analyze the current situation, and say, irregardless of if it's Michael Carrick, Ruben Amorim, Ancelotti, Tuchel, we should be going to sign this certain type of player at this fucking time to bring them into the squad because we're going to need them. Whether we need them today, in a month, 3 months, 6 months, or a year. But they don't seem like they're doing that, do they? They just... To me, I look at the situation, and I don't think it actually, just like how I said for Ruben, I don't actually think it shouldn't have anything to do necessarily with Michael Carrick. It shouldn't, because one, you don't know if Carrick is going to be here. We don't know if we're giving him the job. And again, you people are still running this. You guys are spearheading the fucking project, so to speak. You're spearheading the direction of the club. You should be able to look at the squad, analyze it, and say, all right, there's a player that we can go get. You know, Casemiro is leaving us, and Bruno might leave us. And we're going to sit here and pray and hope that we get Baleba, we get Elliot Anderson, or Adam Wharton, 2 out of the 3, and there's no fucking guarantee of that. And so we're not going to do anything in January. And I will say this, yeah, we're playing 1 match a week. And God forbid, we shouldn't. But if we get a few injuries, for whatever reason, shit happens, and we're struggling to fill a little bit of a squad, well then, I would look at it and say, well, could have had somebody else. Yeah, definitely informed transfers isn't the thing we're doing, yeah. Besides, I don't trust INEOS at all. I mean, it's hard to trust them, right? But you would hope that they have to do fucking something. At least say, what they're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? At least say what they're supposed to be doing. That's what I try to do at the very minimum. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily trust them to do it. I don't know if they were to do it, that it would work out very well. But what I do try to say is what I sort of expect should be happening. What I feel like should be happening. What should be the proper way to do it. I don't really believe that they would do it. I don't think that they seem to be a little bit all over the place. We seem to be getting spun all over the place. Because again, for me, like the biggest sort of hypocrisy, the biggest sort of, fuck, I forgot the word. The biggest contradiction is that, like, I don't like these updates that we're getting now. This PR, I see this PR. It's like, because Carrick's here and everybody loves Carrick, it's like, how it's coming across to me? It's like, they're like best friends with Carrick. And they were like, they're like, oh, we'll check to see what Carrick needs. We're gonna, we'll give him the opportunity to make the decision. Carrick, do you think we need somebody? Let us know. Listen, Carrick, if you think we need somebody, we will honestly go get you some. Meanwhile, like fucking 3 weeks ago, the manager that we had, they told him to go fuck himself. Okay? And that to me is just like, where is sort of the same energy of like the same standards of the process of that you're driving the direction of the football club? To me, it bothers me that they got to a point with the guy that they sacked and they started to basically disregard a lot of shit about him. But now because he's gone, now that and I also think it's because Carrick is a ex-player of the club. So now we get this news and it's like, oh, look at us, guys. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody, look at me, okay? Look at me. I'm such a good guy. I'm giving Michael Carrick the choice. I'm giving him the freedom. I'm giving him the opportunity to get a player in because I'm such a good guy. My name is Jason Wilcox. I'm such a good person. I'm such a good person that I'm giving a player that is a former player that is well respected and loved by all the fans. I'm such a good person. Please don't come and attack me. Please don't ask for my head and call me incompetent. Look, I'm giving him an opportunity. Listen, all he's got to do is tell us that he wants a loan and a player, and we'll go get him in. That's it. That's how I see it. That's how it comes across to me. That's how I feel, We got McDonald's at home. Oh my God. No, we got food at home. I used to hate that shit. Renoso. I used to hate that shit. Mom, can we get McDonald's? No, we have food at home. I know we have food at home, but it's not fucking McDonald's. Fuck. I wanted a Happy Meal with the toy, some nuggets, and the barbecue sauce. I don't want to fucking eat potatoes. Oh, fuck. That was a bad one. I don't want to eat. I don't want to eat pasta. I want fucking French fries and chicken nuggets. Get me a McChicken. And a Big Mac. Let me get that shit. No, we have food at home. I know we have food at home, but we don't got McDonald's at home, do we? Oh, that shit used to get me so mad. Renosa says, this is like hand in hand with narcissistic emotional abuse. I'm not even joking. Look it up. No, I know what you're talking about. Okay. Anyway, moving forward. Manchester United. Okay. No, we did that. I think Carrick. The under-18s are playing the FA Youth Cup. I think Carrick went to go watch them. He was at the under-21s last time. Now, by the way, anybody that's getting excited by Cole Palmer updates because I've seen a bit of these rumors running around, yeah? So Fabrizio gave us the updates saying on Cole Palmer Manchester United rumors. So he said there was rumors about Cole Palmer's desire to go back to Manchester, maybe Manchester United. Cole Palmer to leave Chelsea in the summer. For sure, nothing is happening. Liam Ross Sr. said in his press conference he had several conversations with Cole Palmer and he's very happy at Chelsea. Chelsea's position is very clear. They see Cole Palmer as a crucial part of the project. They don't want him to go. There will always be rumors around Palmer, but as of January, nothing is going to happen. I think even as the summer, nothing is going to happen. I don't see anything, like I said yesterday, that would lead me to believe that Cole Palmer would be leaving and that Chelsea would just allow him to leave like that. You know what I mean? So, eat some peanut butter and jelly. Yeah, have a couple carrots, you know, and some celery. It's like, what the fuck? Carrots and celery? Carrots and celery? I wanted McNuggets, bro. I wanted fucking McNuggets, man. Carrots. And you know, it was a shame. Like, you know, now McDonald's is like, it's not even worth it. One, it's really bad for you, yeah? So let's just put that out there, right? It's really bad for you. But it's not even worth it anymore, bro. Like, I remember back in the day, we used to have $1 menu, okay? $1. You'd go and get a McChicken for $1. 4 chicken nuggets for $1. You'd get a small fries for $1. A McChicken in America, a McChicken where I live, is like $4.50 now. There's no dollar menu. A 4-piece is like $4. And if, you know, you used to go to McDonald's and leave with like a fucking deal. You could buy like 4 burgers, you know, like 4 burgers, 4 McChickens, like a medium fries. And it cost you like fucking $10, $15. And you'd be like, fuck yeah. Like, I just bought a shit ton of food and it was cheap as fuck. Now it's like you get a fries and a burger that comes with a drink and it's like $22.50. And you're like, I might as well have just went and bought a fucking steak. You know? What was the point of this? I might as well just go buy a steak for $10 more. Just go buy a steak. You know? Fucking inflation, man, inflation. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked, but oh, here's this. I don't know if you guys heard this, but so obviously so against the Manchester City match, yes, the lineup was leaked. Our starting lineup. And Samuel Luckhurst, who works at the Sun now, leaked the lineup again, like well before the match. All right? Hours before last week's derby. Okay? So apparently, Manchester United have launched an internal investigation in an effort to discover how their starting lineup leaked hours before last week's derby. And what I will say is, I mean, it's a fucking joke. How many of internal investigations have we fucking launched to find leaks? Clearly, we haven't done it, you know, and we've never gotten the result, you know. I think in recent times, they must have launched at least 4 or 5 different investigations into leaks. They have never come and updated us and say, they found the leak. The leak has been dealt with. They've never actually confirmed and said, we've never gotten an update saying that the leak has been found out and the leak has been dealt with. We only get the update that we've launched investigations. So clearly, somebody's still leaking shit. You know what I mean? Because Samuel Luckhurst put out the whole thing and put out the exact lineup hours before. They said Sun Sport obtained the correct starting XI, which seemed to irritate a number of people at the club. This correspondent has been obtaining leaked teams or news or team news sporadically for 10 years, yet it seems to cause great offense these days. Yeah, we don't like that shit. Don't leak the fucking team, okay? Don't leak the team. Leak it 15 minutes before, bro. Leak it 20 minutes before. Don't leak it fucking 3 hours before, because in the world of social media, maybe Pep might not do it, but maybe one of his coaches. Look at that. I don't know. Maybe they don't. Maybe they say, listen, we can't rely on that sort of shit. But but there's a potentiality that maybe that fucks us over, okay? So that's why we don't like it. All right? We don't like that shit. You don't have to leak it 3 hours before, bro. If you actually have it, just put it out 20 minutes before everybody else, bro. You still leaked it. Good for you. You'll get the credit. Like, relax, bro. You don't have to put it 3 hours before. What's wrong with you? A former United reporter even wrote about unsavory leaks, which remains an in-joke among patch reporters. That is doubtless down to social media becoming more trivial and more toxic, which has a knock-on effect on United's response. Eric shows how hypocrite these people are. Low key, bro. We were really in it for the toy that came with the Happy Meal anyway. I was spoiled though, dog. My mom would drop McDonald's off for me at school. Aw, you lucky motherfucker. My mom would never do such a fucking thing. Never. Ever. 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 And not because she's bad. Not because she's bad. She's just old school like that. Old school European. You know what I mean? Never. She'd either be like, I gave you money for fucking lunch, or she'd be like, here's a fucking sandwich from home. You know what I mean? She would never do that shit. Although, you know what? Incidentally, if she did that, maybe I would have became fat. So maybe she did me a favor in the long run. Although my cousins used to spoil me. Yeah, every time I used to go to my cousin's house, because I didn't like many things growing up, right? I wasn't big on vegetables or fruits or any of that shit. So when I used to go to my cousin's house, they didn't know what to make me. They didn't know what to cook me. So I would just go there and they'd be like, "You want to go to McDonald's?" And I'd be like, "Fuck yeah!" It's like down the, it's right there. I'd be like, "Absolutely, we're going to McDonald's." Absolutely. But one time they took me to McDonald's on a Good Friday. And I didn't realize it was Good Friday. And then they were like, oh, it's Good Friday. So they were like, you could get the French fries, but you can't eat fucking chicken nuggets. Or a McChicken. Or a fucking burger. And I was pissed. And they tried to give me a fucking filet of fish. And I was like, get that shit the fuck out of here. I was like, I don't want no filet of fish. I'm not a fish person. I don't like fish. I don't really like seafood too much. So I was like, dude, I'm not eating a fillet of fish. I was like, don't even take me to McDonald's. I was like, I can't get nuggets. I can't get fucking, burgers. I was like, why be going? I was like, what? I'm going to be happy with the fillet of fish? I was like, fuck out of here. X says, okay, I will have to wake up early in the morning. So good night. Good night, brother. And are we playing tomorrow or are we playing on Sunday? Because I kind of lost track of shit. Where the fuck are we anyway? Oh no, we're playing on Sunday. Okay, cool. There's nothing even going on. Oh, well, there is football. We might go live tomorrow as well. We'll see. I'm not 100% sure, but Manchester United is seeking a new head of social media. What time do we have? 2 hours. Shit. Okay. Also, Eric is starting to awake. You need to be more radical, however. No. I don't do radical, okay? More strongly ideological against the Glazers. The rise of this channel walks on the path of the revolution. Jesus. I don't do radical, okay? I'm not a radical. I don't get radicalized. I'm not radical, okay? I've always been against the Glazers. I just like to operate in reality, okay? I don't like to speak in fantasy. But thank you anyway. I know you mean well. So I appreciate it. A new Manchester United contract was agreed by Kobe Mainoo last year. But Ruben Amorim did not sign it off. Interesting. Manchester United are prepared to return to contract talks for midfielder Kobe Mainoo following confirmation of Casemiro's departure. Mainoo has been brought back into the fold by interim boss Michael Carrick, and plans to move to Napoli on a loan have been shelved. A new contract was agreed by Mainoo last year, but Ruben Amorim did not sign it off. Mainoo has 18 months remaining on his contract, plus the option of a further year, but is not on parity with other first-teamers. Oh, interesting. I'm the whole motherfucking Jupiter, he says. Okay, good night. Glazers out, he says. Glazers out. Oh, I missed that. My homies used to be so pissed seeing that shit. Of course they would be. I'd be pissed too. I'd be like, you lucky little bastard. Then I'd be bugging you. I'd be like, yo, let me get a fry. Yeah, yo, let me get a nug. Let me get a nuggie. I'd be in there, Renault, so I'd be like, let me get a nuggie. I'd be like, I'll give you $1 for a nugget. I give you $1 for my lunch money. Let me get a nugget. Shit. Dude, by the way, my bad, but yesterday we got hit for copyright because I played that video from United. And we didn't get a copyright strike against the channel. They just said it wasn't like that, but they just said that I couldn't monetize the video. So yeah, I fucked up on that one. But you know what? We have the freedom to speech, so I will say fuck UEFA. How about that? Fuck UEFA for the fact that I can't use a 30-second clip of a fucking highlight from a Europa League match from last year. That's what they flagged me for. I got flagged from UEFA. So UEFA could fuck off. Alright? And then there was some bullshit about the song that they used, which, whatever. I guess I get it, you know. I don't really agree with copyright. I think it's infringement upon the creators. You know what I mean? But, I like how we get these things, you know, I like how we get these updates, Lucky. I like how we get these updates. Like, why do we get the update that a new Manchester United contract was agreed by Kobe last year, but Ruben Amorim did not sign off on it? So since, but this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm trying to say, though. Maybe next Friday, not enough nuggets. I'd be fucking pissed. But this is what I'm saying. Like, one, why do we get this update when he's no longer here? Why did we never get this update when he was here? We get the update when the bad man is gone now, yeah? So we never got the update before that actually the contract was agreed, but Ruben wouldn't sign off of it. We get that update now that he's gone, all right? And he's obviously not going to be able to respond to this, and he's not going to respond to it. Maybe he can't even fucking speak on Manchester United for a certain period of time. And then also, my second question to that is, if we're operating through a committee, and even Ruben mentioned this once, they're not all going to agree on something. And isn't it supposed to be some sort of like majority rules or some shit? And if that's the case, well, if Ruben didn't want to sign off on it, but Wilcox, Barada, and anybody else that's involved in that wanted Kobe Mainoo to stay, then why did they need his permission to sign off on it? Because even for me, I would go to Ruben and say, listen, maybe you don't rate this guy, but we rate him for the future of the club, and we're not telling him you have to start him. you don't have to start him every match, but this is somebody that you are going to have to try and work with at to some level of a degree, because the club views him as a valuable player for the future. We want to keep him here. We don't agree with necessarily your stance. But listen, I mean, maybe he also had his own thing. Maybe he was like, we shouldn't give him a new contract until he sort of proves himself, type of thing. And maybe he didn't want to sign off on it because he wanted to test him or something. I don't fucking know. Or maybe he actually wanted to sell him. But I don't know what it is. I don't know. Apparently, one of the kids, Rafe McCormack, has done well tonight. Good for him. Okay, I know I was going to talk about Arsenal, but hold on, let me just check something out real quick. What's the schedule looking like tomorrow? What's the schedule looking like tomorrow? Oh. I think we should do it tomorrow, because I'm probably going to stream tomorrow. So, I think we'll move the conversation for United versus Arsenal, and we'll make like a more dedicated show to that. And I'll just finish out the remaining of the show with a little bit of the whatever small updates we had throughout the day, which we already did a couple, but there's just a couple things. Because it's kind of shit to do it at the end of the show now anyway. So and we could do it tomorrow. It's it'll be the day before the match. I think it'll be better. So I know I promised I was going to do that like the whole show, so I kind of feel bad, but I will deliver it tomorrow, I'm just looking to see what other important sort of things was said, because there was a few different pieces of news. We still have one of the Portuguese staff members from Ruben. He's still at the club, by the way. And he's the only one that survived the sacking of the whole team. And he is the first team nutritionist. Felipe Souza, who joined United in the summer, is still at the club. Omri was followed out of United by assistant Carlos Fernandez, goalkeeping coach Jorge Vital, first team coach Ediello Candido, fitness coach Paulo Barrera, and analyst Eduardo Rosalino. Their fellow Portuguese, Asasio Valentim, was another summer arrival and remains United's first team operations manager. So actually, we have two. We have two of those guys are still there. But listen, nutritionist. Listen, he could sabotage us and poison all our players and make them shit. But listen, you have an opportunity to be, first team nutritionist at Manchester United. I think he wants to remain and do a good job. And I think a lot of our players, came back, starting this season. Casemiro looked the fittest he's ever looked since coming to our club. And there was a few other players as well. So I think nutrition-wise, I guess they've been doing really good. Even Luke Shaw to a certain extent as well. And no, that's not a fat joke, okay? So yeah. Our under-18s, 2-0 versus Derby County under-18s. If you want, let's watch Cheeto's goal together real quick. I'm not going to play sound, but we'll have the video just in case. You never fucking know. I don't want them to hit us again. So, if you want to see this goal, I'll bring it up right now, yes? So, here we go. Give me a second. How's that looking? Oh, I gotta move it down. I could make it technically video. Cheeto Obi with a goal. 2-0. 2-0. All right, kid. Well, but this is what you got to do. You know what I mean? I mean, you're down there in the under 18s right now doing it. And I think he's gone in between under 21s, under 18s, I guess. You know, probably a slight shitty defending there. Bit of a fuck up back there. But listen, he took advantage of the situation well. And ultimately, that's a good finish. You know what I mean? 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. Still got to do a job there. Okay. Good first touch. And good second touch for the shot. So, you know, I think for now, keep working away. Unfortunately, we're out of the FA Cup in the first team, and we're out of the Carabao Cup. So there's not really, you know, any real opportunities to give to people right now like them. Well, there's just less opportunities, but yeah. Where is it? Okay. Fuck. Can't type. All right, real quick. Ready? Let's see. What else we got here? Kobe. Yeah, we did that one. Jose, we did that one. Chelsea consider Cole Palmer untouchable and have no plans to sell. Despite his boyhood support for Manchester United, he is not thought to have any release clause in his contract. Yeah, I think people are getting way too carried away with that. I was like, I don't see that fucking happening at all. So, apparently Kai Rooney is on the bench, Wayne Rooney's son, for the under 18s. So maybe he gets on the pitch. I don't know if he's going to get on the pitch, but apparently he was on the bench for the under 18s. I believe he's like 16. So, or 15, something like that. Him and JJ Gabriel are close. So just real quick, Buemo was speaking earlier, and he said on changes under Michael Carrick, he said, I think a bit of everything. Trainings are different, mentality are different, but we know we have only one game, one way to go. We have to do everything. He then also said on Ruben Amorim, I'm really grateful to him for bringing me to the club. I was really happy, and I always tried to work as hard as I could under him, and it was really nice to meet him. Oh, all right. By the way, I don't know what this. See, Samuel Luckhurst put out. Samuel Luckhurst put this out, and I don't really know what this actually means because he wrote and said as plans for a new stadium stall. And what do you mean stall though? They just put out. This came in the face of them announcing sort of that task force, that group, and that, you know, even, you know, Lord Coe said that the plan is going ahead as forward. So I don't really understand how plans for a new stadium are stalling. But he then said United are upgrading Old Trafford with self-service beer machines, early arrival discounts, and new food options. Fans have been offered 25% off for yearly entry, with Madri or Guinness priced at £4.88. We say cents, but I think it's pence. And a new nachos cart introduced for the Manchester Derby. Oh, shit. Hey, we're fucking balling now. You know what I mean? We're balling now. New nachos cart. Hey, we're killing it now. Hey, self-service beer machines. It's only 2026. It's only 2026. Self-service beer machines. It took till now to get self-service beer machines. We got a new nachos cart. Oh, we're fucking golden now, bro. We're cooking. We're cooking on high heat. We're cooking on high heat. New nachos. New nachos cart. Let's fucking go. Come on, that's it. Glazers stay here forever. That's it. It's over. They gave us new nachos, guys. They gave us a new nachos cart. That's it. Greatest owners ever in history of ownership. If we were big, that would be a very bad clip, yeah? Somebody would clip it out of context. Whoever hates me would clip that shit out of context. Yeah, but that's, I think we've covered everything. I'm gonna be quite honest, we covered it all. We covered it all. And we did it in good time as well. So, listen, I'm gonna get out of here, okay? We'll be back tomorrow, same time. 8:15 p.m. UK, same time as today, same time as yesterday. Tomorrow, I promise, we'll do an actual focus on United versus Arsenal. We'll do sort of a tactical breakdown, predicted lineups, and all that stuff. I was gonna do it, but the show's gone on too long, and it's getting quite late. So we do got to get out of here. We do got other things to do. Plus, it's Friday. People want to go chill and hang out, and they don't want to sit here for another hour listening to me talk. So, but yeah, other than that, listen, everybody, have a good night. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for smashing the like button. We went back up to 17 likes today, which was more than we got yesterday, and I think the day before. So thank you, everybody that smashed the like button. Excuse me. Thank you, everybody that obliterated the like button. If you're watching after the fact, obliterate the like button anyway. It still counts the same. Thank you to everybody that got involved in the live chat. Thank you everybody that silently watched. Anybody that was new that subscribed, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the community. We look forward to seeing you, and we look forward to your support going forward. And yeah, just listen, everybody have a good Friday evening, night, whatever. Enjoy, sort of the beginning of your weekend. Everybody stay safe if you're going out and doing anything sort of eventful. If you're gonna have a couple of drinks, make sure you don't get into any fights. Don't do anything stupid. Enjoy yourself, but don't get hurt. Don't get in trouble. Don't get arrested or anything like that. We don't need you getting hurt or arrested. All right. So, but other than that, everybody enjoy yourselves. Stay safe. I just want to see if I can see, because I would like to shout out real quick. Did we get any subscribers? No new subscribers on the show. Oh, well, maybe it didn't update yet. So, but anyway. But yeah, we'll be back live tomorrow, okay? 8:15 p.m. UK. We will be here live. Shout out to all of you. Appreciate every single one of you. Any last words, brothers or sisters? Have a good one. Dude, says Renoso, get yourself some nuggets. You've earned it. I can't, bro. I'm on a fucking diet, bro. All right? I'm on a diet, dude. I had to start a diet. I've been eating like shit. I've had actually too many nuggets recently. Yeah, I've had too many nuggets. I've gained fucking weight. I think I'm the heaviest I've almost ever been since like COVID. And COVID was the heaviest I've ever been. So I'm on a diet, bro. No fucking nuggies for me, unfortunately. I would love nothing more than some nuggies. But no nuggies for me. Now it's gonna be, rice and chicken, rice and steak, a lot of eggs, protein shakes, shit like that. But appreciate it, man. I'll be good. And then maybe one day when we get the weight back down, and my square isn't my face isn't so square, and I get a little bit of a jawline back, and I kind of don't have like a little bit of a double fucking neck going on here. Then maybe we could return to eating nuggies every once in a while, But we got to get this shit under control. All right. So yeah, everybody be good. Lucky says tomorrow I prefer for Arsenal. Well, listen, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Think about what you're gonna say for Arsenal, Lucky, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. Okay, everybody, take care. Good night. Be good. Stay safe. Thank you for all the support. Love all of you. Appreciate every single one of you. You guys are the best in the world, and we'll see each other.